I'll be sitting in the evening car, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again.
Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It
Force.
is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
Pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. This is Tuesday, the first day of October 2024. And if it's a Tuesday, it's Maritime Tick, 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 Tick. Matters. Our sponsors for tonight's show are 101 Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shantia McBride and her lovely team at 101 Pharmacy in Nassau and of course Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site 101pharmacy.com. That's 101 Pharmacy, all lowercase, all one word, .com. The three locations are East Street South, and of course when you go on East Street South, check for Joy. That's the pharmacist. Tell Joy Maritime Matters send you and she will fix you right up. Second location, Charles Sanders Highway, and of course Explorers Way in downtown Freeport. This one is where my big cousin Stephanie hangs out. Stephanie runs things up there. Steph, good night. Maritime Matters say good night to you, Steph. So, you know, when you see Steph up in there, please give her a little kiss for me and tell her little cousin Glenn, say, Maritime Matters send me here. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. At BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. Good night, Auntie May. Oh yes, our number one fan on Maritime Matters. I say good evening. That's my Auntie May up there in Freeport. 91 years old and going strong, people. I talked to her yesterday, I talked to her today, and Auntie May is hanging in tough, just doing her thing. As you all know by now, that's my good old Auntie May. You're listening to Maritime Matters, people, and on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters is weekly at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday here on Love 97 FM. Purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas, and of course, to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime feeds. The number to call us should you wish to get in on any of our discussions during the show is 326-8255. Again, that's 326-8255. To hear a replay of this show or any of our previous shows, simply hit us up at any time via our YouTube page. That's Maritime Matters Bahamas. Just go to YouTube on your electronic device, type in the search box Maritime space Matters space Bahamas, and I mean the word space. That's the dash, yeah, whatever you want to call it. Maritime Matters Bahamas in YouTube. So, well, let's talk maritime. Hello. Our topics for tonight shall address the following. We're gonna start out because you know this is 24 years since our Golden Girls mash up the place. And I watched my good girl Pauline Davis last night on Shanique's show, and she was just letting us have it, letting us know how things gone back then, let us know how things going right now, and we're gonna have our first discussion on Olympic gold for the Golden Girls / 24 years later. we're going to speak about the ILA, the International Labor Association in the U.S. They went on strike first thing this morning, 0001, not 0100, 00, right after midnight they go on a strike. Everybody leave, everything where it was, gone home. And it's the first time they took a strike since 1977. How significant is that? Boy, we can talk about that, because you know that's going to have a big impact on us. And from the looks of things as we speak, don't look like that coming to conclusion no time soon. Because you know, the White House is saying, boy, look, we ain't getting that right now. And we can talk about that. Our Prime Minister last week said that we cannot afford business as usual when it comes to our climate change. So we got to talk about how the Prime Minister is telling the rest of the world. We can't just sit back and play like this business as usual, because climate change is a serious thing, and we've been impacted, the whole world being, let's get something going, you know. We're going to talk about the company that was chosen to provide shore power for the Nassau cruise port. And when I say shore power, they want the ships to plug in. What does that mean? We will have it in our discussion. And the chief of the Nassau cruise port, the man in charge, is saying that we're going to get multiple wins, W's. You know what is a W? Ask Miami Dolphin what is a W. And we're going to get multiple W's when it comes to that 60 megawatt of shore power. And we're going to discuss some of those W's, and we got some else too now. It's Lewis. Talk to Miami Dolphins, but that too. So we can talk about some Lewis, Mr. Cruise Chief, because I see losses in the midst of opportunities that we, the Bahamian people, can get out of that deal. So environmentalists, another topic, environmentalists block the port of Marseille. That's up there in the Mediterranean Sea. Eh? They're protesting the impact of cruise ships. They don't want too much, they say too much cruise ships coming in. You're all mashing up the place. Like my good friend Pauline Davis said, they mashed up the place in 2000 in Sydney, Australia. So we got Spain, Ibiza, that's the name of one of their ports. They moved to limiting the amount of cruise ships coming to Ibiza, because again, they feel like, you're all tourists, you're not mashing up the place. So Disney's newest cruise line leaves Mayo Shipyard, and we're going to talk about how Disney has a series every year for the next 7 years, a big Disney ship being built. Boy, look here, what are we doing in the Bahamas to get ready for those Disney ships? Because they love us. You know, the first two was always in the Bahamas only, and then after they start to build some more, they start moving up. But Disney loves us. They want more ports. Are we going to give them more ports? Come on. We, the Bahamas, got to do better. We got the carrier USS Truman as they went into the Mideast, and they went actually, that aircraft carrier went all the way into, what are you naming all the oil is? That's the Persian Gulf. And why they went into the Persian Gulf? Mind you, there's in the Red Sea dealing with the Houthis, with one of the other ones, aircraft carrier, but this one, they going all the way into the Red Sea, because why? Because they want to get right off the coast of Iraq. Why they want to get right off the coast of Iraq? We see it already today. We saw today what happened. Iraq, early this morning or last night, sent a barrage of ballistic missiles into Israel. And Iraq is far. So those missiles come a long way. Most of them got intercepted. But guess what? Some of them landed. What is Israel going to do? Well, that's still up in the air. But if you think you know, you call in and let me know. Because we're going to discuss that. Well, I think we'll get to that. We should get to that, right? Then we talk about ships with getting ready to run on ammonia. Ships with going to be methanol fueled, and they got some already. And then, you know, they're wanting for hydrofoil electric ferry something like $1 million just to make a little replica of what hydrofoil and running on electric to do. And last but not least, submersible, the lost submersible. Do you remember the Titan which went down to the Titanic and got imploded? Well, you know, Coast Guard is releasing some information on that now. And, you know, why did it fail? Why 7 people got killed in the process? And we're going to talk about that. So, as you might imagine, we are locked. We are loaded. And we are heavily laden with information surrounding these timely topics. We're talking maritime people. You are listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our first break, and when we return, we will engage discussions on these maritime topics. But first, we are going to engage discussion on what is going on with our golden girls that made our flag raise, made our national anthem play in front of the whole world, and made all of us proud. That's how we can roll with this. So we move into our first break, people. We'll be back with Maritime Matters very shortly.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
Love 97 FM, the Bahamas. And on the World Wide Web at www.love97fm.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You are listening to Maritime Matters. Call on the line? No longer. Caller, unfortunately we had to run to a break. I saw you call, I don't know who it was. Feel free to call back. We'll be most happy to entertain your discussion while we move forward. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to introduce again tonight. You know the voice, you know the person. The lady herself is in studio. My hero, Pauline Davis. Pauline, welcome to Maritime Matters.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Cap.
You know you're only going to be here for a short time because we got plenty of maritime stuff to discuss. But, you know, I watched you last night on Shanique's show and I've watched you a couple times prior to that. But yesterday marked an extreme significance to our country. It marked the very first time the Bahamas got any medal. No, not any medal, because Frank got the first one. A gold medal, right? In athletics in the Olympic Games. And prior to that, the only medal we ever had in this country was Sir Derwin Nose.
Sir Derwin Nose and his other two partners. Because
it was one partner for the Olympics, and then it was another one for the World Championship when they won gold again. But
yes,
was the Olympic.
Because they always just say Sir Derwin Knows.
Well, Sir
Derwin
Knows.
It's like me saying, leaving out one of my golden girls.
I agree.
Sisters, you know, we did it together.
So it's Sir Derwin and Cecil Cook, who wasn't knighted, but he was there, and Sir Derwin couldn't do it on it by himself.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And you and your sisters.
Yes.
And so yesterday marked 24 years. So 1 year from now.
Yes.
It will be a quarter century.
Sure will be 25 years, yes.
And I read your book over and over and over again, and I finished reading it yet. I can read it some more, right? Because that book is so impacting. I don't know how many Bahamians got an opportunity yet to read that book, but man, let me tell you something. If you didn't read that book, you need to read, especially people like us, people like in my age group. I passed 60 now, so we would know exactly what was going on with the Golden Girls, what was going on with the Bahamas at the time. And you need to read that book to get some details. But we're going to get a little glimpse of exactly what gone down. Now, Pauline, I know you have had time and time again to watch the video, time and time again to reminisce on what really took place. And this was coming off, well, I mean, you already, well, you got a silver medal at the Olympics, which turned out to be a gold because you were cheated.
Yes.
But you were coming fresh off getting an Olympic medal already on your own.
Correct.
And I think that's the only Olympic medal you would have ever got on your own.
Correct.
And so we want to focus on this goal, the feeling that you brought to us, right?
Yes.
And I heard you on Shanique's show talk about how former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram would have been going through some stuff at another conference, so he couldn't get to Sydney in time to watch the race.
Correct.
And when he found out that you guys won that race, everybody at that conference kind of, the whole tone of the conference changed as a result of the Bahamas being victorious. This little island, I know you call it pimple on the butt of the U.S. and all the rest of that stuff. But in fact, if you look at the map, you probably are, right? With pimples on the butt of the big U.S., with the big America, right? So we made the world understand that we're bigger than that. We're bigger than everybody when it comes to this 4x1. And there were some promises made, and I can talk plenty because I know what's going on, right? I know you're ready to talk, but there were some promises made, and the promise based on what I saw on Shanique's show was that the government gave each of you a parcel of land.
Correct.
And it's in that area past the airport there, really up on the hill, and I'm sure it's a very nice property once the infrastructure is in place and the roads are there for you to get there, because up to now you haven't even stepped foot on, you can't even walk there because it's just a bunch of bush, right?
Correct.
So the roads, and I understand the current prime minister.
And a wall, and a
hill. Wall is up?
And a hill.
A hill?
They have
okay.
they have the culture of that hill. So
okay. But you know, you can't readily walk on your properties yet.
Correct.
24 years in. And I want to say 25 years, half a century. I put in a plug-in for my good Roll Avenue and buddy. I don't know, you know, the Prime Minister grew up in Roll Avenue. I grew up in Roll Avenue. So his family and my family grew up in the same little area, same little neck of the woods. But of course, he went on to become a lawyer and Prime Minister and all the rest of that good stuff. And I heard him tell me one time ago that he was supposed to be, I think, an accountant. And his parents wanted, but he didn't know he wanted to do law. And he ended up doing law, and the rest is history, right? But you said that he have done quite a bit compared to all the other moving forward on that property. I guess he cut, some roads were cut, and
yes.
I don't know. Tell us the details of what was actually what happened since you were given that plot of land that you couldn't walk on as yet.
Well, basically, as everyone know, that land was given to us by Prime Minister Ingram.
Right.
And the reason he gave us that land was because he was supposed to come to Australia to watch us run. And he couldn't because the Bahamas was in a lot of hot water.
Right.
Where there's money.
Yeah, I remember the G7 or one of those meetings where we had these offshore banks and we had to change our laws as a result of all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember those things.
And so he wasn't able to come to Australia. He had to go to Europe to deal with the situation.
Exactly.
And so when he got there, I mean, everyone was slapping him across his head. Yeah. It was really rough. He was explaining to us. He was having a very he was having a very, very difficult time with what was happening. But of course, he's the Prime Minister, so he has to
go through it.
Got to go through it.
Take your
blows. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in one of the meetings, he came out of one of the meetings, and when he came out of one of the meetings, the security guard ran up to him,
right.
And the security guard was jumping up and down, and it was like, "Congratulations, Olympic gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist."
And he didn't even know.
He was looking at the security guard like, what are you talking about? Because he was so beat up. You understand?
Yes, he was going through.
And he was going through some. Yeah, he was taking some blows.
Yeah.
And the security guard just kept jumping up and saying, "Bahamas, gold, Australia, gold," right? And he said, he stood there, and he looked at the guard. He like, "Bahamas, gold." Guys jump, yes, gold. and he relay, gold.
Right.
And he said he was like, the girls want gold, and the security guard jumping up and down, celebrating, right?
And he didn't even realize what happened.
He didn't even realize what happened yet.
Okay. So he wasn't able to be there because of all that.
Because of all that. Uh-huh. So the next meeting he goes to, right? He said when he walked through the door,
right,
everyone, including the American representative,
right, the president and vice
president and all them, they were on their feet,
wow,
and applauding him. Mm-hmm. And they said, and if it isn't the golden Prime Minister, so he said, boy, he stick out his chest. He said he started walking down that aisle. He said he got so much hugs, so much congratulations. He said after that, it was easy street for the Bahamas.
Yeah, the tone of the whole meeting changed, right?
The tone of the whole meeting, because now he's getting that respect.
And that's what you all did.
And Yes.
That's what you all hard work did.
That's what our hard work did.
And of course, we don't always, but a lot of times we forget Coach Wisdom.
Yes.
Who had a lot to do with it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Wisdom, at least and myself, and Chandra, were coached when we were younger by Coach Wisdom.
That's right.
So we had 3 of the 5 Golden Girls.
Right.
And then his brother coached Sabatita Fine. So it was a wisdom affair.
It's a wisdom affair. So that went on, and former Prime Minister Ingram was so elated, and obviously so when he got back?
When he got back to his hotel,
right,
he sat down and he said, "My goodness, look at this. Look at all this pressure these girls took off of me on the Bahamas." He said, "Man, I gotta do something good for these. I gotta do something good for these girls." So he said, he picked up the telephone, he calls, and back to the Bahamas, I guess, to his people or whatever, and he was like, "Listen, I want to give these girls something tangible. As a matter of fact, I want to give them a piece of property."
Of course.
So I guess they started looking, and they came back to him later on with different options, whatever. Said, "No, that's not good enough. No, that's not what I want to give them. What I want to give them has to reflect what they did for our country and the type of pressure they took off of me and the country."
Paula, we see you on the line with video in 1 second.
And they came finally back to him with the property that we were now given.
That you all now own, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And
Let me just stick a pin for this call. Hey, Maritime Matters, hello. Thank you very much for calling.
God bless you and good evening, Glenn. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, it's all good, brother. Nice to hear your voice, man. Thank you very much. What's up?
Thank God. This is sorry, who this is talking to you today?
Well, of course, I know this voice. I know this voice among most.
You should, right?
Yes, sir.
And before I say hi to Pauline, I was just going through the dial because it just hit me. Said, "Oh my God, it is Tuesday," so I just wanted to tune in.
That's right. I appreciate
and hear what you were talking about today. And the moment I heard Pauline Davis Thompson's voice, I said, "Yeah, listen."
You forget, but everything else I can talk about. I got a long list of things after I finish.
How you doing, Pauline? JT here, my dear. How you doing today?
Hi, Mr. JP. I'm divine and wonderful. And how are you, JT?
Well, I'm blessed. Thank God for life. Thank God for life.
Amen to that.
I know Glenn. This is his Maritime Matters, but obviously he knows how to tactfully and wonderfully interwoven other topics.
He's a sportsman himself.
Into Maritime Matters, and I'm happy to see that he's done it with you. Because I know many thousands of Bahamians today are probably still in the back of their mind celebrating the gold that you 5 women brought home for the Bahamas in 2000. And as a Bahamian myself, Pauline, I've always been of the view that regardless as to who the Bahamian is, regardless as to what their social status is in life prior to their professional athletic career, if he or she is carrying the Bahamian flag in any event, and they are accomplishing things noteworthy of praise, he or she ought to, without hesitation or reservation, even without qualification, be recognized, be awarded, and be rewarded. And you 5 women, I mean, what more can we Bahamians who are fully aware of the gold medal in Sydney that you all brought home for the Bahamas, what more can we say even today than thank you and God bless you and may you continue to shine like the gold that you won.
Thank you, JD. Thank you so much.
Because Pauline, I consider myself an extremely patriotic Bahamian.
So do I.
I ain't gotta like
patriotic.
You. I ain't gotta know you. All I want to know is you're Bahamian and you're doing something good to be recognized for, and I can praise you. And I think it was about 2 months ago, 2-3 months ago, I was going through something, and I came across it was one of those Caribbean broadcasters who did I think a little documentary on the Golden Girls' rise to prominence over the 5-10 years prior to Sydney. And when I was listening to that, I said, wow. I said, these Bahamian women really, really, really accomplished a lot.
Yeah. Hey, Jerome, I have to lend you my site so you can read that book that Pauline wrote.
You've already gotten the book published, obviously, Pauline, from what Glenn is indicating here, right?
Yes, my book. Yes, you know.
I need to lend you my vision so you can read
I appreciate you saying that, but I want you to keep your site because you need to keep on training me to try.
I can lend it to you, man.
Yeah. I won the Academy Award for book writing.
That's right.
I went
Pauline,
against over 10,000 books
you
around
are
the world.
obviously a celebrated Bahamian, but honestly, I did not know about you having won the Academy Award, so God bless you. Pauline, like I just said, may your life continue to shine like the gold that you all won for the Bahamas in Sydney 2000.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerome. But as always, you know, I always appreciate.
Well, let me just wrap up quickly on this note, Glenn.
Yes, sir.
Pauline, is your book in audio format?
Not yet. People been
asking.
People been asking, and they want for me to do it in my actual voice.
Yes, please. If you can do it in your own voice, that would even make it much more wonderful. And please let Glenn or me know, because as a person who's blind, of course, I can't read print, and I do not like those electronic voices because on YouTube, because it sounds artificial. So I'd like to have a copy. As soon as it's out, I'd like to know whether, because I would be very happy, not just to support you because of the golden girl that you are, but to support your effort as an author. I really would love to see that book.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn, and God bless you. And Pauline, continue, girl. The love is out there for you always. Continue to be you.
Okay, Jerome. Thank you, man. Yeah, Jerome is a frequent caller. He's a very close friend of mine. We get together every now and then, so I know him very well. And he's in our age group. You and I may be a little different, or 3 or 4 years different, but he's right around my age group. Okay. I think I got him by a couple of months, and I over 60. So he over 60. I don't think he mind me telling the world that. But today we have, you're working for the Ministry of
Sports.
It's
Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, and I work in the Department of Sports.
Still with Ministry of Tourism?
We kind of switch roles, because I worked for tourism for 20 years prior to that.
Yeah, your book say you was working there when you got fired. And when you got your job back.
Oh boy. Let me tell you something, the road to success is not easy.
So
there are a lot of potholes and
we got
speed
another call.
bumps.
See, these people ain't gonna let me finish this thing, you know. Good night, caller. You on Maritime Matters. Thank you so much for calling.
Hey, Mr. Glenn Dean, you're so excited today.
My brother, good all the way from Freeport, from 8 Mile Rock. This
man, but guess what, Dean?
Friend brother.
Dean, but on the air you can't be saying the guys from Iraq launched missiles into Iran. Into Israel.
Iran launched missiles.
Right, but you were saying Iraq.
Man, but why do you think I get you there to correct me? I stand corrected.
No, I just I wanted to go directly to my subject, man. I wanted to say hello to my relative Bahamian sister there. How you doing, Miss Pauline Davis?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. And how are you, sir?
Man, I wish you were still running from that pump with that bucket. You know what I mean? But anyhow, if you're running from the pump, keep running from, you know what I mean, bad influence, and keep doing the good things. Your experience made me cry the other night there.
That's right.
Man, I was hearing something about you being accused of not being who you are and locked up in jail and all kind of stuff like that.
Sir.
You know what I mean? Hey, homegirl.
I was looking at Shrek.
You better have my book for me. I'm glad the man didn't ask for a book just now, because Glenn used to have to fight if you was going to my book and read that man.
No, I got your book. Your book secured. Anyway, King Adam. Hey, thank you so much for calling. Now, when we get these other topics, you call back, because you know I can be rolling.
Yeah, okay, good.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to get her and say hello to her right then. And keep continue doing what you're doing for the Bahamas, girl. I'll see you later.
Thank you. Thank you,
Sir.
sir.
Yeah, that's King Arthur. He's from Savannah Sound in Lutra, but
Okay.
you wouldn't know that unless I tell people. I always talk in business. Yeah, but like I was saying, okay, so you and Eldis continue. You're still here. You're working with the government. What is Sabbath Theatre doing now?
Oh, boy.
24 years later.
Right, there's a little story about that. So Sabbath Theatre, several years back, was supposed to come and go to Abaco to teach.
Yeah, because she's from Abaco.
She's from Abaco.
Right.
Everything was approved.
She wanted to give back.
She wanted to give back. Everything was approved. Everything was done. And she made one phone call. Everything packed up. Everything ready to go. She made one phone call to check on something.
Right.
And her stuff disappeared.
What you mean, her approvals?
All her, yeah, yes.
So nobody could find the stuff for her to come and start working and move to Abaco and everything. But was she living in Nassau at the time?
No, she lives in the she was living in the U.S. with her. Somebody, the husband is a former Jamaican athlete.
Okay.
And they live in New Jersey. Okay. And she wanted to come back and go back to Abaco. Not even come to Nassau. She wanted to return home and give back.
Wow. And somebody messed up.
Somebody messed up. Let me tell you
something.
something.
Just the guy messed up your papers when you were supposed to go back to Atlanta.
Yes.
Wow.
You know, it was so, and her husband was so perturbed about that whole situation. He was like, you know what, forget it.
Yeah, your country doing this to you.
Yeah. You know, and it hurt Sav so much. It hurt me and it hurt the rest of the Golden Girls sisters.
Of course. It hurt me now. I didn't know this before.
I don't know. It's like
terrible, man.
We have some people out there that are hell bent and trying to cut us off at the knees.
Boy, it's crazy.
It's sad. It's really sad.
What you guys got to go through.
What we got to go through. People don't understand.
So Sabatita didn't come back after all that.
She didn't. Her husband.
She still lives in the U.S.
She's still in the U.S. today.
Okay.
Yeah, her husband refused. Husband told her no.
How about Debbie?
Debbie goes back and forth. Debbie's coaching at the University of Kentucky.
She's actually a coach at the University of
Kentucky.
Oh, wow. That's a big
and
job.
she does a lot of, she recruits, like she has recruiting coordinators.
Wonderful.
And her husband is here.
Oh, her husband lives in Nassau.
He lives in Nassau. So Debbie has
commute,
Debbie
Okay, that's wonderful. And Chandra.
Well, Chandra is in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, she lives in the U.S. also?
She's an interior decorator, so she's there. Right. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So all of you, basically, 2 of you are here and the other 3 are in the U.S. And I mean, what you've done for us back then is and you were granted that piece of land.
Yes.
And you have yet to step foot on it.
Correct.
And we know that, like I say, my good Avenue partner, our current Prime Minister, Philip Davis, before your anniversary, your 25th anniversary, which makes you a quarter century since you won that gold medal. I'm sure he will have a house on that for you guys so that you wouldn't have to meet 25 years. And the promise was not fulfilled. Because they put you through all of this 24 years of nothing, you can't even step on it. So we're gonna fast track that so that the government actually put a house on that for you.
I keep speaking that.
And I'll talk to my good old Avenue brother,
keep speaking
our
that.
Prime Minister, because he's doing things and he has the power to do it.
Yes.
So I'm sure he's going to do that.
As a matter of fact,
you'll be able to say, you got, and look at other people. You mentioned Karani James.
Yes.
And Karani James, country Grenada.
Yes.
Gave him a big mansion.
Very nice home.
Sitting on a hill and so well deserving.
Yes, very well deserving.
And if you think about Julian Alfred, she I mean, the first time in the history of the world that St. Lucia was able to win any medal at the Olympics. Yes. It happened to be a gold, thank goodness for Anna Silva. And they made a public holiday in her name.
Yes.
You can imagine? Yes. Just one, and look how long you guys did this. There's no street with your name.
No street.
I don't know.
No, none of us have any street.
I was so happy to see Tonique Williams' Darling Highway. Right? Yeah. Because she so much deserved that. And all of you. Look at Stevie coming and winning more times, I think, than Karani James. in all of his accolades. And he can't say, I have a house on a hill. Nobody can say, other than Tonic so far, and we've had so many golden athletes that our country need to wake up. We need to understand how difficult it is not only to win a medal or a gold medal in Olympics, but to qualify for Olympics. I ran over 20 marathons. And I have a friend, and everybody know who he is. He's probably the best Bahamian distance runner ever, because he break the record like 2 or 3 times since Marathon Man and all my friend in Freeport broke the record. And he's gone back to Kenya to live now. But he was in Kenya training, and he could not even come close to qualifying for him, as good as he is. And I know him very well, right? So I know it's extremely difficult, even to qualify, because once you qualify for Olympics, it makes you an elite athlete.
Yes.
And we can't say we have elite athletes in any other sport that I know of, right? So, man, we got to do something for you all. We got to do something bigger than just getting that house and naming streets. We got to do some more things, but let's do that. And I think by 2025, right? Because it's 2025 years, which is 1/4 of a century, we're going to have your streets named, and we're going to have your house built, and you guys are going to have all the info, everything declared, and you'll be good to go. That's what I propose the country needs to push for. And I thank you so much for blessing this show once again, Maritime Matters, with your knowledge and your beauty and your history, and continue to do well, continue to, and you may have to write more books, but that book is off the chain. So,
yes, and you know it has gone global too, right? As we speak, it's been written in Chinese.
Oh, Chinese. Oh, Qingmao.
Very
good. Well, we get French and Spanish.
As soon as they're finished, I'll be heading to China
in
short order.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So congratulations again. Any last word to the public? Say something to the Bahamas before you leave.
I just want to say to my fellow Bahamians how thankful and how blessed I feel for all of the love, all of the support. I want to say a shout out to Baytown. Hey! Thank you for raising me, keeping me grounded. Thank you for making sure that I have a lot of manners, a lot of respect for my elders. And thank you for getting me to understand that I come from a country that may be small in size, but powerful.
That's who we are.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pauline, again for gracing the show. And we're going to have you come over and over again, because this show could be here, you could be here, and we need to hear you some more. The country needs to hear, and hopefully next time you come, you can bring a couple of those golden girls, if not all, especially on that 25th time around, eh? When you make that quarter century, and when the Bahamas have given you what you so well deserved.
Can I say something? If you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
You know, I am pushing for a street to be named after Elijah Obed.
Oh yes, and
he was our first world champion.
He was well,
and he
I think Durrett was a little ahead of him, but he
world
was
champion individual. So Durrett had teammates
like
me.
Individual.
He's the first individual. So Durrett didn't do it by himself.
You're right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And sometimes we tend to forget that he didn't. Just like I can never forget that I did this relay with my Golden Girl sisters.
Correct.
So Durrett had other members, partners. He had 2 other partners that was a part of that.
That's correct.
Olympic winning team.
So but Obed was alone.
Obed was alone. It was just
we don't even
him.
have a street name after Obed.
He should have a street.
We don't. I mean, obviously he's passed on, so we can't even say, okay, Obed, we can give you a piece of property. But he has kids, I think, and his family. It's never too late to give for what somebody did.
But see, you just mentioned something. That's why it's important that you give persons their roses while they're still alive. Give it to them, because they're the one who would have done the work.
That's correct.
Once they are gone to heaven, and it's their family who then come and accept this. But it wasn't their family who did it. So we need to do these things in a very, very timely manner.
Let the person feel the love.
Feel the love. So I am pushing for an Elijah Obed Street.
There you go. Elijah Obed Street coming up. And we're going to talk to my Royal Avenue good buddy, our current Prime Minister, Mr. Philip Davis, to make sure, and he was around, he knows what Elijah Obed times, because the roll out, he was buzzing Elijah Obed. You know, they sang that song, congratulations, Elijah is the champion of the world. And they go, lick him, fight, Elijah, fight. I remember that when I was a boy growing up. It was so significant. This country was in such a celebratory mood. And all of you guys got your songs. We know.
Yes.
Right?
And can I say about our current Prime Minister, we owe him a debt of gratitude because he was the one that cut down through the hill. And now there's a road there. He made provision to be able to get up there.
Yes.
Right? He's the one that has come in. He's the one that's doing the work. And my sister and I, we are so thankful to him for what he is doing. I mean, and he himself was an athlete.
Yes.
Yes, he was a very good baseball player, and he also ran track.
Yes.
And so we owe him a debt of gratitude because he now take it upon himself to try to make sure that we're able to go there and lay our head before one of us close our eyes. So we have a debt of gratitude to this current Prime Minister for all that he has done so far.
That is so wonderful, Pauline. And thank you so much again for blessing our show, as usual.
Thank you for having me.
Now we're going to get to some maritime stuff. We're going to move to break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we return, we're going to be getting down on these big-time operations. But these strikes, the people making that can cause us some problems. We can get on, but the climate changes and the 60 megawatt of shore power for that port and all kind. Oh, come on, we gonna get on and on. So as we move to our break, please stand by. We'll be back on Maritime Matters. Thank you so much.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Maritime. Tick, 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 tick. Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and we've just finished our first segment. It's not a normal segment, it's not a maritime segment, but it's a very impacting segment about the Golden Girls, the 24th anniversary of winning that gold medal for our country. And it was the first gold we got in athletics, and we have a series of gold and silver and bronze following that. And I shout out to Mr. Frank Rutherford, who would have won the first medal in athletics when he won the bronze medal in long jump. I think it was 1 or 2 Olympics prior to that. So we gotta pay homage, and of course Pauline would have mentioned Mr. Elijah Obed, passed away, wasn't recognized halfway as I think he could have been. We have no statues, no street name with him. And we got to do some things in this country to take care of our own. Our own. Come on, man. So, we back to maritime issues. The number to call if you want in on this show is 326-8255. And we got to roll right now. Hitting the lines is the ILA, the International Labor Association in the U.S., which is the real labor force behind all those longshoremen and people working in the ports and all that. And what are they doing? They strike. They strike. And I read from the international feeds, it says, the International Longshore Association. I think it should be Longshoremen Association, but this is directly from the feed, and I read what they write. The International Longshore Association has launched its first strike in nearly 55 years. After months of warnings, the group's 45,000 members, that ain't no small number, 45,000 workers began a walkout at midnight Eastern Time, shutting down operations at 36 ports from Texas to Maine. So they all the way to Texas, coming straight around, and then you got Alabama, and you got Mississippi, and then you come around to Panhandle, Florida, Tampa, come straight around to Miami, Everglades, and all those ports going up to Jacksonville, and going straight up the eastern coast past New York and all the rest of them, Maine, and all that. They say from Texas to Maine. Walk off the job. Midnight last night. The ILA, that's the International Longshoremen Association, cast the showdown in existential terms. I don't know what is existential terms, but that's the word they use. And hey, you know, I ain't all that smart when it comes to English. Warning that terminal operators would cut jobs and introduce more automation if the union didn't prevent it. So why are they striking? Because they were telling them long time, look, if you want to bring in all this AI stuff and get people to get machines to replace me doing my job, I have a problem with that. And this is part of the reason why they're shutting down. But of course, money got to be involved too, right? We know. So I read on. The ILA is fighting for respect, appreciation, and fairness in a world in which corporations are dead set on replacing hardworking people with automation. Why are you all dead set on replacing me with machines? The ILA said in a flyer distributed to this picketers, robots do not pay taxes and they do not spend money in their communities. And that's their position. Their position is, you getting robots to work in my place? Robots don't pay taxes. You ain't gonna make no, the government ain't gonna make no money off them. Plus, the communities ain't gonna make no money off them. So y'all making all this money now, you'll be making more money, and robots, you ain't got to fire them. Anyway, that's where the world going. That's what these fellas saying they can hold on to, and they can make those big pocketers feel it. I don't think they can stop it. How could you stop AI? AI coming, whether you want it or not. Have to replace plenty of we. So it goes on to say the ILA's stance, according to the Wall Street Journal, was that it would not begin negotiations until the employers agreed to a 77% increase in wages for over the next 6-year contract. So apparently the contracts are signed over every 6 years. So what they're saying is, we're looking for at least 77% increase, because you're making up all this money and we ain't making enough. And you also are replacing us with AI? Man, give us some money. And I read on. The employers represented by the U.S. Maritime Alliance, or USMX, were believed to be standing at an offer of an approximately 40% wage increase. So the other fellows are saying, look, yeah, we can give you all a 40% increase, right? And maintaining the prior rules regarding automation. But they still go along to saying, we still got to automate. And then, of course, it goes on to say the ocean carriers represented by USMX want to enjoy rich billion-dollar profits that they are making in 2024 alone, while they offer ILA longshore workers an unacceptable wage package that we reject. So they said that 40% we reject that. Give us 77%. And then it was leaked earlier that the USMX came back with saying, okay, we'll give you up to 50. And then they walk up the job. And it goes on to say, the White House ain't getting in that, eh? So I read the last two pieces on this, which says what? As late as Friday, in an update to customers, Maersk said it was mostly still accepting bookings as normal. The exceptions, Maersk is that big container line, eh? The exceptions include bookings for refrigerated containers inbound from inland locations via the U.S., Atlantic, and Gulf Coast. So they got stuff coming in through the U.S., and they talk about refrigerated containers. In other words, they call them reefers in the field, eh? But those are things like perishable items and all the rest of that stuff. So analysts have said imports and exports of perishables would be the first to feel the impact of the strike, potentially leading to shortages of items like bananas and cherries initially. So what they saying, there's all that banana and stuff coming in from South America and all over the place. But look here, we ain't waking them. So y'all who like plenty banana and them expensive cherries and things, boy, you look like y'all can see them for a little while. They could be the first things they impact. And goes on to say, as the strike goes on, analysts point to an impact on raw materials and industrial goods, vehicles, and later consumer goods. So they can deal with the stuff you use for building houses and stuff like that, and then they can move on to cars, to cars and trucks and heavy equipment. They ain't waking up, they can't come through the port, so whoever got them on order, boy, you may have to wait a while if it can come through the USA. And later consumer goods, that stuff would be go to shop and buy every day off the shelf and that type of thing. So this thing kind of serious. They say all this could be affected, right? Some items, such as imported alcohol, not the rum, wine and beer, would likely first be impacted and later broader lines of consumer goods. Oh, so they can hit the right boy, look here. Us who like to celebrate, this football season. These fellas is be drinking plenty beers, plenty rum. They say now, they ain't waking them either. And if they gotta come to NASA from the States, boy, we could be in trouble. I don't care them got started, but we better do some stalking. Don't go rushing the place now, because I say that now. That's what the people I'm saying in the international press. The expectation is that retailers have stockpiled inventories ahead of the anticipated strike, but some importers are already talking of flying goods at higher cost. So what they say now is, when it comes to some of them, we may put them on cargo planes. It costs a couple more dollars, but at least you'll be able to get them. Man, bring our beers and rum on the plane. Because we want to start partying, eh? You know how we go to the Bahamas. We party animals. So the expectation is that carriers will initially anchor vessels. You believe that? They're going to actually, because if they bring a ship loaded with containers to the port of Miami or one of those ports along the eastern, southern coast of the USA, and people ain't gonna wait the ships, it don't make no sense them even taking them off, because the ships are designed to keep those reefer containers refrigerated. But the problem is things like strawberries and some of those soft stuff, imperishable things, they may be in the fridge for another week, but they still ain't gonna be no good when it's time to use them, because they still spoil although they're refrigerated, eh? So the ILA has promised not to stop military cargo. In other words, ships that bring in things for the military forces, they allow them and they can wait them, right? And passenger ships. So cruise ships, they ain't getting them. Boy, it's a good thing they said you can wait. You can imagine if all the cruise ship stuff. You know how much cruise ships we stuff coming here from the States every day? If this strike had impacted cruise ships, we'd have been like COVID time. Bay Street would have been turned into a graveyard again, eh? Because if those cruise ships ain't coming in, you, me, and everybody know this town dead. That downtown area mash up. If you didn't believe it, give me a call and let me know why. 326-8255. So that's how they rolling. Let's move on to what our Prime Minister said a week ago. He said to the world, we cannot afford business as usual when it comes to climate change. And you know, it's a lot. I'm not going to read through all of this because time rolling, ticking, talking, and we only got about half hour left, and we got plenty to cover. But our Prime Minister was, I think it was in New York at a conference or something going on in New York, and he basically let the world know we can't just sit by and allow this climate to continue to rise, because it done past the 1.5 degrees Celsius that Prime Minister Mia Mottley would have spoken about 2 years ago, when she said, if we do nothing, we will pass the threshold of 1.5 degrees centigrade, and that is about all we could take when it comes to the daily average heat on top of what we got. That's about all we could take before things really start getting out of hand with these violent hurricanes and all this flooding all over the world, and we experiencing it every day. You've seen it, and anybody who watches CNN and BBC like me will know that all over the world. They had it in England, they had it in Indonesia, they had it in certain parts of America, and this hurricane that just passed through, we know it killed, I mean, it done reach over 100 people, I think, dead, and that ain't normal because of all the floods. This thing was carrying on bad, not with the wind and lashing, but with the floods, the amount of water been mashing up the place, eh? So the Prime Minister is reaching out and saying, look here, we know it in your voice, but you all need to take care of us who been impacted, because those big fellas who got all the money, using up all this machinery and putting all this carbon in there. So it was the Climate Week in New York City 2024. So they've expressed alarm to the global temperature threshold, which already passed, eh? And he's saying, we want you all to understand we need to do something. There's a lot of things being done, and there's a lot of things projected to be done. But our Prime Minister is appealing on our behalf that they move faster. And not only him, it's the Prime Ministers in most of these leading Caribbean countries. And say we're calling for a radical shift in how the world tackles the climate crisis. Prime Minister Davis urged fossil fuel companies to be held accountable for the cost of their actions. Now, you know what I have an issue with? Our country, our leader, getting on the rest of the world about fossil fuel. But yet, we here in the Bahamas using up a whole heap of fossil fuel. Especially when it comes to our biggest consumer of fossil fuel being BPL. Right? And those oil majors and all these cars. And so, as the world goes, so are we. So when are we, the Bahamas, gonna put our foot forward? But mind you, I know we have a pledge by 2030, certain things can be done. But this current administration has until 2026. And of course, if there's a repeat, some people may have changed up. So that's a second administration, right? But 2030 does not fall in the remit of this administration. So what is being done between now and 2026 to say that this administration is addressing renewable energy by reducing, what are they doing? They say we're going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 30%. Using 30% renewable energy by 2030. By installing solar farms and hybrid grids for the family islands. And yes, that's what we promised to do. But are we doing it? I know we're supposed to get a 90 kilowatt of solar installed. I don't know when. And I saw some approval or some I don't think request for proposal gone out yet on it. But when are we going to do that? We can't wait until after 2026. 2030 is right now. It's just 5 years away from now. So we got to get our act together too, Mr. Prime Minister. We too have to get our act together while we pledge and push the rest of the world to get their act together. And when we don't have our act together, we could be more bigoted. Because it will not be a conflict in what we're saying. So let's get it on. Now, there's a company that has been chosen to provide shore power for the Nassau Cruise Port, right? And that company, there was a request for proposal gone out, and I think, what they say, over 50 companies must look at it, and out of those 50, only 3 put in an actual bid, because for some reason everybody seemed to know who's going to get the contract, eh? And the contract was limited to say that you have to be providing this 60 kilowatt or 65 kilowatt of power, or is it megawatt? 65 megawatts of power by way of LNG. So it wiped out all those who wanted to do solar. Why would we do that in this country? And in addition, why would this company, and I ain't getting into no politics and all that, I talking straight, I know what I know and what I think will be best for our country. And this is Glenn being viewers, so again, 326-8255, if you got some viewers contrary to that, or in support of that, please feel free to call at any time. Don't be scared. We ain't got no time to be scared. The scared play there, right? That's how we roll into the show. So my thing is, yes, a company was chosen, and that company will be providing LNG. And you know why I have an issue with LNG being provided for those cruise ships to plug in? Because just about all of the cruise ships being built now are LNG. Even those that are not being built are being converted to utilize LNG. So why should a cruise ship that is already using LNG plug into a shore supply that is using LNG? Why would they pay? Why would they continue to just burn from their own ship LNG? Because what these ships want to do is they want to plug in to a supply that is not emitting carbon. They want to stop emitting the carbon, so they plug in, so that while they import, the carbon is no longer being emitted. But if they're going to plug in and whoever's supplying that power is using LNG, then carbon is still going in there, eh? That's the reason why we should have been looking for solar. Because we ain't need no wind farm, we got plenty of sun. We should have been looking for solar, so that when that ship comes and they plug in, the solar is gonna stop that carbon from going into the environment and clogging up the air some more to assist in this 1.5, try to bring that, reduce that back down to 1.5. So we will actually be reducing the emitting of carbon, adding into the worldwide environment, if it is insisted that that company that is supplying the 65 megawatts of power, is that what it is? I think it's 65 megawatts, right, of power to Nassau Cruise Port. That way, we will know that it's a win for the ship and it's a win for the country. Because you know what else we can do with that solar plant that is supplying those ships? The United Nations gives a grant. Once you are going to be reducing the amount of carbon being placed in the environment, you will be paid for that. So we can have a win-win, Mr. Nassau Cruise Port Chief. We can have a win-win by having solar for the ships to plug into, and getting some money from the United Nations for that reduction of power that that cruise ship, or reduction of carbon that that cruise ship would have been putting in the air for that 10-hour period or 8-hour period. How long are they going to be plugged in? And we talk about multiple ships. And we can always make it a mandate that when they use Prince George, they must plug in. So we'll be making money when they plug in, and we'll be making money from the United Nations for the reduction in usage of carbon during that transaction. So we can't lose. But former Prime Minister Hubert Minnis decided that he's going to challenge some of what's going on. Because he's saying the company that got or landed the contract based on the RFP to supply this power doesn't exist. Except when you go on the internet and you check, the only existence of them is this RFP supplying power to the Nassau cruise port for the purpose of ships to plug in. Prior to that, this company never existed and never provided power nowhere, never. So how come you given contract to this company that just apparently put together for this purpose? And if you are, what is the Bahamian people getting out of it? And I must say, I have to listen to that because that sounds like that is making some sense. And again, if you think it ain't making no sense, 326-8255, give me a call. Give us a call on the show. Let us know how you feel. Is that fair for a company of private entities to have ownership in what our country, the Bahamas, is supplying for the cruise ships to get power or to turn off their engines? First of all, it should be solar, and second of all, it should be owned by the Bahamian people, because we are providing that for the cruise ships that are coming to visit our country. Why some private entities got to own the company that provide this 65 megawatts of power? That's what is being questioned by former Prime Minister Hubert Minnis, straight out the dailies. This ain't Glenn Bain talking. Straight out the dailies. And, we can read it. Raising similar concerns to those he expressed over Bahamas Grid Company, the 60% majority private sector owned vehicle to which New Providence electricity grid has been transferred. Okay, so you're talking about the one that happened prior to this. Well, BPL is bringing in somebody to set up grids. A private entity. And he's suggesting that maybe it's those same people who own that grid company that never did grids before, now going to be owning the company that's going to supply that 60 megawatts of energy to the Nassau cruise port. Are they the same people? So when is the local Bahamian going to get an opportunity to have ownership in any one of those? Because if you ask me, and I take it a step further, I think that these things should have been, first of all, the Bahamas government needs to own 49%, like they normally would. And the Bahamian people should own the next 49%, or even 51%. And then the ones who have shares would elect the professionals to run it. We have an airport where, when that airport was being delivered, we had to get a loan. We got the loan, and the government of the Bahamas hired in a firm to set it up from Canada, remember? To set it up and to run it. We didn't sell no shares to that company. The government owned all the shares. And that company just came in and provided a service and we paid them. So all the profits made stays with our country. So why we have, and we already mess up a lot, We mess up when even the Nassau cruise port shares, 49% of the shares was given to the company that put it together. Why couldn't we just hire a company to put that together? And the Bahamian people own all the shares. Since the government even own them, well, the government owns some. But we Bahamians have money to buy into things. We can hire in the professionals like we did with the airport when it comes to anything to do with our resources. And that Nassau cruise port is one of our resources. And supplying power to that Nassau cruise port should remain with the Bahamian people and the government of the Bahamas. We shouldn't have private entities. No, let the Bahamian people own it. Now we may say some of those private entities are Bahamians. No, but we don't want no company owning nothing. We want Bahamians to buy the shares that needs to be raised, and the government, if they want to own whatever part, could own. But we don't want no private companies getting no nudge over the. Now, if you put an IPO out to the Bahamas public and you don't get enough, then we could have private companies, if they wish to invest, now invest. But give it to us, the Bahamian people first. Give us an opportunity to own it. We will be getting the shares. We will be voting for who could be running it. And we could do that. Anyway, those are challenges that were made by the former Prime Minister in dealing with that particular situation. And then the cruise chief, right? Mr. Michael Mora, who's now in charge, he's the person overall in charge at the Nassau Cruise Port. He's saying that the cruise port will have some ownership in this company that has been earmarked or has been appointed to provide the 60 megawatt of shore power. And he see it as a win-win, because Mr. Mora, in this situation, is going to win by way of the cruise ship port having some ownership or having some shares. He's also still, I think, overall in charge of the Arawak Port Development Board. So he has a lot to say with that, because according to his statement in the dailies, the Nassau Container Port, APD, Arawak Port Development, with the Nassau Cruise, with the Nassau Container Port and all the rest of those subsidiaries, they are also going to have shares in this company that won the bid to supply the 60 megawatt of power. So when it's a little local level Bahamian, and this is what former Prime Minister is saying, why the regular local Bahamian can't have the shares in this thing and own this thing? Hey? So that is how that is looking. I don't like how it look, but I only one person. Again, we got a lot of you guys out there. 3268255. Let's hear what you think. Who should own the company that supply power, or that is being provided to elected to supply power to the cruise ships when they come here to make their visits? Who should own the company that they're going to plug into? Who should own everything BPL have to do when it comes to supplying power to this country? Water and sewage supplying power to this country. BPL, but we can't talk about BPL, we don't talk about Patelco, which is, Lord, I get old now. Patelco is now BPL, right? Yeah, that's BPL. So we don't know, we can't own that no more. We have shares now, but not much. But we need to ensure in moving forward that the regular Bahamian can invest in what our country owns, and stop trying to privatize these things. Stop trying to get special interest groups dealing with these things or owning these things, and let the regular Bahamian own them, and let the regular Bahamian who have ownership in them decide we could bring in the experts to run it, because we could hire experts from anywhere. Then it comes to our money being invested along with the government money, we can make these things work. Anyway, that's about all I got to say about that, because I'm a maritime man, and well, of course, this is a Maritime Matters, because you now talk about all these cruise ships, and let's quickly read what Mr. Moore had to say, which Mr. Moore is a smart man. I can tell you Mike Moore knows what he's doing, he's a smart man, but I am not in line with that decision where Bahamians could own these things, but special interests owning them, and big companies owning them, and the Bahamians can leave out. I don't like that. So Mr. Morrow, meanwhile, said, cruise industry trends and investments designed to deliver on the sector's commitment to slash greenhouse gas emissions and reduce its carbon footprint mean there is a strong justification for the Bahamas to introduce shore power itself. So what he's saying is the world needs to stop that carbon from being emitted into the environment. So, if he's on that track, then why are we going to LNG, liquefied natural gas, which emits over 40% of what the fossil fuel emits into the environment? Why don't we just go to solar and don't put none of there? And that's all I said. That's all I said. Anyway, I ain't reading all of that. That's too much to read, right? But let me read the last paragraph. The Nassau Cruise Port chief said the creation of a 60 megawatt plant fueled by LNG and eventually hydrogen, see that? It'll start with LNG and then it'll eventually go to hydrogen. But hydrogen, why didn't it start with hydrogen? Hydrogen don't put don't emit any carbon in there. But for some reason we want to start with LNG. Why? Why we don't go with hydrogen or solar? But hydrogen costs a little more, so let's go with solar. Okay, I read on. Nassau Cruise Port chief said creation of 60 megawatt plant fueled by LNG and eventually hydrogen brings power resilience to BPL. Power resilience to BPL by offering redundant generation when its own units fail. So we're projecting that since we know BEC or BPL always failing, we will have enough power that when cruise ships say plug in, we could give back or sell some of that power to BPL so that they don't have to be load shedding. Now, how does that sound? We're going to put this spanking LNG plant in place, which eventually go to hydrogen, and that could feed back to the grid of BPL to assist them when they're having problems. So why don't we make BPL as efficient as this operation here, but with solar? So that when the Nassau container port may be having problems, then BPL could give them more and they could pay for BPL. As a matter of fact, I think BPL should be the one providing this power to begin with. That's what I think. If you think something different, 326-8255, give us a call. And that's how that is set up, eh? Now let's go to our international feed. Since we only got about 10 minutes left, wait, hold on. 1823, that's 623. And we got until 1835. Boy, we ain't got much time. Let's see how quick we could talk about how the environmentalists blocked the port of Marseille for testing impact of cruises. And I said to you earlier that some of these ports, well, you know, Norway had put a stop on the amount of cruise ship and cruise ship passengers coming up in that area because they could only get there in the summer. So did what I want to name up in the western there, Russia, Alaska. Alaska also put limits on the amount of cruise ships and cruise ship passengers visiting their little cities because they just think it's getting overburdening, right? And we here in the Bahamas, we know that a whole heap of cruise ships. I just tell you, Disney, we can talk about Disney, how Disney building a ship almost every year. RCCL building a ship almost every year. And these are monsters now. These are no little small ship. But these ships can need ports. They ain't building no new port every year. So while 4 or 5 cruise ships are coming out every year, they don't have no 4 or 5 ports for them to go to. But we here in the Bahamas, we can create another dozen ports. Easy. Another dozen on our family islands. Some family islands we can put more than one. Because that's how big our islands are, eh? Ain't small like Nassau. So, if we look at the trend of these cruise ships being built all the time, and we don't realize that the Bahamas can capitalize on this growth by growing the amount of ports, because now every island should have a port. Every single Bahamian island should have a port built by the government that a cruise ship will go and tie up to. And then our country will flourish. Because a lot of these Nassovians or a lot of these people who base in Nassau now from these islands could go back home and have a job paying them even more money. They could be doing tours They could rent motorbikes, jet skis, you name it. All the things that are happening here in Nassau when these cruise ships come, they could be duplicating them on the family islands. And the family islands stop to the cruise ships would be far more attractive because they don't have to worry about all the harassment. They don't have to worry about all the crime. They don't, come on man, that's a no-brainer. What kind of governments are we having? I just had Pauline Davis in here talking about how only after 20 years, one leader, because we've had a multiple series of leaders since 2000 when they won that gold medal, eh? And Mr. Hubert Ingram would have put in place for the Golden Girls plots of land that he said these will be for them. Unfortunately, like most government land, most crown land, there's no infrastructure in place yet to get to those properties. And since he did that some 18, 20 years ago, or even more than that, prime ministers came in, prime ministers gone out. Prime minister came in, prime minister gone out. Not one prime minister until only in the last 3 years after this existing administration came into power. According to Pauline, and I know she got to know. Only one. That's my Royal Avenue and partner, Prime Minister Philip Davis, did anything for them to even go up on that hill and see their property. And they still can't get to it. And we continue to appeal to Mr. Davis, Prime Minister Philip Davis, to continue that project so that these ladies can now get to that property that they've been promised 24 years ago. Just so they can say, I am now able to do something with my property. And that's my appeal. And that's what I assume the appeal of many, many Bahamians. So we are looking here at getting, after all of these years of cruise ship growth, getting the Bahamas to replicate what they have done 40 years ago in the Eastern Caribbean. I've been in conferences with people from the Eastern Caribbean saying, oh, we need a cruise port. Oh, we need, this is like 30 years ago they were saying this, we need a cruise port, because they didn't have facilitation in their country for the cruise ship to come. And within 10 years, every single one of them had a port facility for cruise ship to come and tie up that their government put in place so they can make some money from these cruise ships. So I'm saying the Bahamas is quite comparably, when juxtaposed with those countries in the Eastern Caribbean, around the same size. We get around the same amount of ports that they have for cruise ships to come and tie up. Because we got an ocean touching all of our islands. And it ain't much, just put a jetty out there on a abutment or something so they can come and tie up. We don't have to do much dredging, if any. So come on, people. Let's see. Let's look ahead. And let's see what this country can be like if we were to put a port facility where a cruise ship could come and tie up in each one of our islands, and it's easy to do. So, while Marseille and Ibiza in Spain, Marseille, where Marseille is, I don't even know what Marseille is, somewhere in the Mediterranean, I think it's part of France, eh? Marseille is France, yeah. And then Ibiza is Spain. And all of them complaining on their small areas where they have their cruise ships coming in, that we don't want too much cruise ship. But listen, they actually put a chain, what they call it? A human chain with small boats to stop that cruise ship and make it turn around in front of Marseille's channel entrance. So they had what a name up in the Netherlands. They want cruise ship Amsterdam. to stop coming in there because the cruise ship's getting so big. But of course, everybody wants to see the red light district and all the rest of them. So they try to stop that too. So in Ibiza, the same thing going on. So all they saying is, we have enough. But we in the Bahamas saying, we ain't getting enough. Because we got space for plenty. So our government only need to work with us now and build these docks so that all the family islands could feel some love. And as they build these big spanking new ships, they ain't got to worry about which destiny. They can come to the Bahamas and do 4 stops, 7 stops, 12 stops if they want, right in this one country. Save fuel. They can plug in and don't have to work. Man, come on, man. What are we doing? I tell you what we're not doing is preparing ourselves because these cruise ships ain't gonna stop building. They ain't gonna stop getting bigger. But we sitting here and they ain't doing a thing to facilitate them. Everything gotta be NASA. NASA got enough. NASA ain't got no more space. Sometimes ships have to turn away because they can't get in NASA because only 6 can come in at a time. That wouldn't be the case if we dock out this whole country. Let's dock out this whole country for cruise ships. Okay, what people say, those cruise ships are crucial. Countries in the world only wish they could get them. They're right there. The 3 major home ports in the entire world is right on our back doorstep because we're on the front doorstep. Miami, Port Everglades, and Port Canaveral. They can't dock us. But we need to give them. They're building the ships. They're spending billions of dollars for these ships. Man, let's spend a couple million and put some ports in place, man. Come on. Let's do it. Now we talk about the USS carrier Truman. They went to the Eastern Mediterranean. Now the Eastern Mediterranean being not the Mediterranean Sea. They had to go through the Suez Canal. Now the aircraft carrier could go through because nobody's trying to do them in all the time. But at least they strong and they got a lot of they got a whole fleet of ships around them to protect them. And as those Houthis try to send missiles at them, they just intercepting them before they reach the aircraft carrier. Plus, if they reach the aircraft carrier is so thick and strong that it just could bounce off. It ain't cause no problems, no real problems, But they still ain't want them hitting the aircraft carrier. So, oh yeah, our time is winding down. 2 minutes left. Wow. Anyway, the USS Truman actually went into, well, they passed through the Red Sea, passed through the Gulf of Aden, and now they're actually in the Persian Gulf. Why did they go to the Persian Gulf? Not because that's where all the oil wealthy countries are, because they won't be close to that country called Iran. Because the Iranians are the ones that has been singled out as helping the big 3H. The Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. And so they know that after Israel went into the Palestinians, they go on to the Gaza first, now they go on all the way up to Lebanon. And they starting to do a lot of stuff, putting men on the ground and starting to go in them dungeons and them trenches and so they expect that Iran may get out of hand. And we know that today, Iran started to get out of hand. Anyway, time is running out. We can't go through all those details. We're going to talk about some renewable energy and all the rest of that. But ladies and gentlemen, Maritime Matters comes every week, every Tuesday at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. And 18:35, which is 6:35, it is now. We got to come to a close. I want to thank my guest for the night, Ms. Pauline Davis, for bringing us home on what's going on with Eldis and Savathir and Debbie and Chandra and how their property is still there, but they're going to, hopefully by next year, they'll be able to really get on it and get some benefits from it and all the rest of that good stuff. I want to thank Bahamas Maritime Connection and also Island Care Pharmacy and 101 Pharmacy and my good little cousin Shantia McBride for continuing to sponsor and keep Maritime Matters alive. I want to thank my Annie Mae up there in Freeport, my great producer, Mr. Craig Gibson, for keeping things ticking and rolling, and of course, you, our valued listener. Thank you so much for continuing to tune into Maritime Matters. follow us. And again, you can hear the show on YouTube, our YouTube channel, Maritime Matters Bahamas. And we'll be back next week. So until then, as always, I say to you, Maritime Matters, tick, 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 out.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in. Then I'll watch 'em